What's the book you're reading?
I'm currently reading The Power to Change by Craig Groeschel. Pretty cool. Mastering the Habits That Matter Most.
What does change mean to you right now?
Well, I don't think I have any change in my life.
We're not talking money. What does change mean to you?
So change means to me is to being willing to, you got to break the habits of that you do every day, the ones you don't like. If you like them, you keep doing them. First, you got to be aware of what the habits are that you don't like, which usually you can take through meditation, getting to understand yourself better. And then once you figure out what you are actually doing on a daily basis, most of your habits, you don't even know what you're doing. And so you have to literally figure out what those habits are, and then you gotta, okay, now I don't like to do that. So now you gotta figure out, changing the way you think, to recognize it and then to stop it, and then to replace that thought with something else that you need or want to do.
Is there anything about change that makes you afraid to change?
Well, to change is for most human beings causes a lot of fear and anxiety. So if you open yourself to change or to transform yourself, it kind of mitigates that. But no, all change is scary to people, but every fear can be overcome. So it's just a matter of recognizing it, and then you overcome it by facing it, and you attack it, and you drive through it, and then the fear's gone.
So what's a past change that you resisted, and what was the outcome?
Past change that I resisted. That's a good one. Change that I resisted. I never. I put myself in a box. I had rules for everything, and I did not show any emotion. I did not show any expression of any type unless it was my wife. So, and I resisted changing that until finally I was like, if you don't get better, then you're just going to end up planting yourself much earlier, because all ages depression, and then you build up like a stovepipe if it's clogged over so long, and then you explode, and it's not good for anybody.
So what made you come to the realization that it was time for a change?
I was overweight. I could not, it hurt to move. I was 65 pounds heavier than I am now. I was depressed. And I wasn't going anywhere. So it's like, the basic question that hit me one December was, if you don't know anybody, you can't help anybody. So it's either, well, am I going to keep doing what I'm doing, gaining more weight, and then plant myself in the ground much quicker, or am I going to change?
So when you decided to change, what was the first small step that you did, or how would I do a small step to move forward and change?
You have to change your routine. You can't do, if you do the same things, if you think the same thoughts, you will not change. You have to change who you are, period. And so the first thing is to do different things. Get out of the house, change your routine, and then figure out who you are. So one of the first things that I did was I started listening to podcasts, personal growth and development, Brian Buffini, and you start reading books, Hal Elrod, The Miracle Morning. So you get in, you got to change your habits. And so that's what I did. One step at a time. I found this knucklehead guy called the Iceman. Figured out that I hated cold water, but then I started doing cold showers. I've been doing coach hours for 2 years now, and I went from doing no push-ups when I left the Army. Now I do 100 push-ups a day. So, but it starts with the basics of figuring out you have to change. You have to break a habit. You got to figure out what habits aren't working. You got to change. You got to change your lifestyle. You got to lose weight.
So, how did you respond emotionally to all that change? And how did you manage that?
Some days better than others. Opening yourself up to not just love your spouse and your kids, to loving others is a very emotional, underpicking, and then not having experienced all those feelings before, having to get used to those, understand what they are, is still an ongoing process, because when you open yourself up to love, and all that means, that you will not be the same person. Can't be the same person. First time I had was at school. I was teaching school, and they played American Soldier, and I was going to give a speech, and I'd been out of the Army for almost a year. Almost 2 years at that point, and I was emotionally compromised. That was the first time I was overwhelmed by the emotions for the first time. And every year since, some things are better. I actually, it's being vulnerable is difficult. It's very difficult.
How have you changed someone else's life without even realizing it?
Well, actually, that's something I learned, that each person affects other people in ways that you never know. And so you literally just, once you're aware of it, you have to make sure that you understand the impact that you can have on other people. So that's something actually I'm well aware of now.
What have been some of the most powerful changes in your life so far since you began this journey?
The most powerful? The most powerful changes to me in this journey has been a spiritual awakening. If you look at the 5 circles from Brian Buffini of life, I've experienced changes in all 5. Now that it's through meditation, you really discover what is important, give you clarity and focus, and that it's like with Wim Hof, it was the learning that my body could still recover and process, and so physically it started that journey, and then overcoming with workout partners, that you can still do things that you didn't think you could do, improving that spiritually, closer to relationship with God, personally, emotionally, that you can actually love people, and it's okay. And it's a beautiful thing when you can love people and it's all right. And don't expect anything in return. It's okay to love people. So when I grew up, in my entire military career, I didn't think it was possible that you could be friends with a woman that was not your spouse. And then in the last 4 years, I have completely invalidated that thought process, and now you can do those things. So, yeah. Every day is a transformation. You just open transformation, and every day is a new day. So you create your life. You create your day.
So, last question. What do you think God's been teaching you through this season of life?
Patience. People think that I already have patience. Whatever you ask for, God can be humorous because He's going to give you things. So if you ask for less frustration, less anger, less fear, well, then He's going to give you things that are going to challenge each of those things. So as soon as you knock out one fear, He's going to give you another one that you weren't expecting. But each one is an opportunity. Each one is an opportunity to overcome. Once you identify what it is, and then is it real? Is it rational? Irrational? And it also helps to talk. And to talk to the people that you care about, that you trust, and they give you feedback to tell you if you're actually nuts or not, or it's merit, and you need to adjust things. So yeah, I think God has a sense of humor in what He picks to. It can be the smallest of things to test you, but I can drive on 75 now without being angry and get frustrated.
And that's a miracle.
Yeah, and then if you can do it that way, then you can do it just about anything. Mm-hmm. So, what else you got? So I'm almost done with the book, but I'd like to read a couple quotes from this book that give you some room to think here until next week. If you try to change your behavior without changing your identity, it's like you're pulling up a weed without getting to the root. So if you don't get that root, it's just going to grow again and over and over again. So you got to change behavior. Another one that goes with that is if you don't start with your identity, any behavior change you make won't last. And lastly, without repetition, that new habit will go from being hard to start, to hard to stop. So with all that, whatever you pick, you have to be consistent. So if you're going to fight to change, then you have to be consistent with doing that. So the power of change is within you. You got to change your thoughts. You got to change your habits, which means you're going to change your actions. See you next week out here.